Well, the new fiscal year for the U.S. government starts with the massive machine that is the United States government at a standstill. Lawmakers failed to agree on a plan to keep the federal government up and running. The official shutdown has now begun. The House voted on its latest spending bill about 4 hours ahead of midnight. That was the deadline. The bill passed just like the others before it, but it delays part of the Affordable Care Act, basically Obamacare. President Obama blamed the mess for all of this on Tea Party Republicans.
One faction of one party in one House of Congress, in one branch of government, doesn't get to shut down the entire government just to refight the results of an election.
800,000 federal workers are being told to stay home today without a paycheck. That includes some here in New Mexico. We'll have more on that coming up in about a half hour. Well, U.S. Senator Tom Udall issued a statement saying, quote, "A small minority of extremists in the Republican Party is now holding the entire country hostage over a law that has cleared the Congress and the Supreme Court and survived the presidential election. Insisting on a government shutdown to prove a point isn't leadership, it's a temper tantrum, and the American people are rightly disgusted." We'll hear from Senator Martin Heinrich coming up in our next half hour. So far, no word from Congressman Ben Ray Lujan, but his fellow House Democrat Michelle Lujan Grisham issued a statement saying, quote, "Make no mistake, House Republicans have shut down the government." Now, Republican Congressman Steve Pearce, the only Republican in Congress from New Mexico, issued a statement saying for a third time he voted to prevent a government shutdown. A quote in Pearce's statement here: "The House proposal is a common sense plan to keep the government running while making sure Washington is not let off the hook from the laws it creates for Americans." As I mentioned, thousands of folks here in New Mexico are being impacted by the shutdown. Our state's military bases and military families will be hit the hardest. Starting this morning, more than 1,000 civilian workers at Kirtland are under emergency furlough. That means no work and no pay. Same goes for 3,600 non-essential workers at Cannon Air Force Base, Holloman Air Force Base, and White Sands Missile Range. 500 members of the New Mexico National Guard are also being furloughed. The state has a cushion for emergencies like these, so there is enough money to fund welfare and school lunches going through December. 5:03 now. If you have questions about your kids and standardized testing, tonight is a very good chance for you to get some answers in Albuquerque. Last year, only high school students took final exams in 6 subject areas. Now, the state has designed 26 subject tests for elementary, middle, and high schools where students will have to pass their exams to graduate. The goal here is to increase graduation rates and improve education overall.
In the last 5 years, Albuquerque Public Schools has increased its graduation rate from somewhere near 50% to 70%. So the point of these meetings is to keep us on track, to ensure that our parents and students and community understand and are armed with information that will keep us on the rise with graduation rates.
Tonight's meeting starts at 6:30 at the Volcano Vista High School on Rainbow Road Northwest. If you can't make it tonight, don't worry. There are more later on this month. There's one on the 15th, the 18th, the 21st, and November 4th. Teachers are also invited to join a meeting tonight. That goes from 4 to 5:30. With just a week to go before Election Day, the 3 men looking to win Albuquerque's mayor's race squared off in their final television showdown on Monday. The third debate between Mayor R.J. Berry, fellow Republican Paul Hay, and Democrat Pete Dinelli aired on public station KNME. The wide-ranging forum touched on water issues and a proposed citywide late-term abortion ban. But one of the hot topics, as it's been throughout this campaign, the Albuquerque Police Department. Hay, a former police sergeant here, and Mr. Dinelli, the city's former public safety director, went after Mr. Berry's record.
You know that you're not safe in your own homes, wondering if your home's going to be the same way or whether it's going to be burglarized when you get back home.
Now we have a situation where we've lost over 200 police officers, and I submit to you it's because of the poor management of the Albuquerque Police Department by Mr. Berry and his administration.
Last year, while violent crime went up and around the country, it went down in the city of Albuquerque. We had some fixing to do after Mr. Dinelli left, certainly.
The latest Albuquerque Journal poll shows Mayor Berry with a commanding lead over Mr. Dinelli and Mr. Hay as the race enters its final week. Election Day, again a week from today, it's October 8th. If no candidate gets more than 50% of the vote, there will be a runoff election. That will be in November. You know, we've all hit send on an email and then said, uh-oh. Well, now an APS high school principal has done it, and she's apologizing for it. That email contained confidential information about students who failed a big test. It was sent to the parents of 176 Volcano Vista High School students. Some of the attachments included the names of the students who were needed to retake the end of the test. It also listed which tests they have to retake and if they are in special education classes and special needs they might require in order to take the test. The APS communications director says it's clear the principal did not mean to divulge the information. Still, it's a pretty big mess up.
If we were the parents, we completely understand why they're unhappy, why they're angry, why they're upset. They have every right to be.
The principal sent an apology email to the same parent. APS says it's likely she will not get punished over this, but the district does plan to review policies and procedures to see what can be done to prevent this from happening again.